Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to the beta for Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, with the air cleared, we track down the rest of the cultists who have gone to ground. Of course, first, we've obviously got some cleanup to do. We did the bulk of the fighting last time around. We've got bodies to roll, loot to salvage. But yeah, it turns out that pretty much everything on this map is optional. Our only real goal was apparently to just traverse the area until we reached this exit right next to us. So there's no real reason for us to avoid the underground areas. Someone had the misfortune of resting here when the first explosions rang out. My sight is true and my mind is clear. I see death. I see the future. I'm sure that's fine. Plus some generic cargo, no big deal. And so here you can actually see the exit we just discovered is on the exact opposite side of the map from where we started. I guess it was technically implied when we first entered this map that our main goal was just to cross the Star Thoroughfare, which at this point we have technically accomplished, but we skated by a fair bit of content on our way here, so at this point we're just doubling back, seeing what we missed. Especially given that dire premonition that Adira laid on us earlier. Oh yeah, there's those guys we saw last episode too, the ones waiting to ambush us. Plus an exit to another optional area, so we'll definitely check that out as well. The fall is preordained. The prophecy will be fulfilled. When darkness falls, only those who have embraced it will find the path to the new light. Neat. I hope that works out for you.
Operation successful.
Nothing in particular note. The shuttle must have been shot out of the sky by a powerful weapon before it crashed into the building and fell into the once crowded streets. Right. And we've got that powerful weapon right behind us. I guess we should probably do something about that. Also, we just gained a level. We'll have a peek at this thing real quick, and then we'll take care of that. So can we actually shut this thing down, or... Oh, here we go. The cannon's dashboard is a panoply of mysterious levers and buttons. Deactivating it quickly isn't an option. All that's left is to blow it up, destroying it completely. The cannon was certainly constructed a long time ago, long before the colonization of this world began. It comes as no surprise that the insurgents were barely able to operate it. Modern arms protocols are incomprehensible to machine spirits of such ancient make. It does seem like a bit of a shame to blow this thing up, but not seeing much of an alternative here. The blast consumes the ancient weapon. The sky above the city is safe for flying again. Super duper.
A new challenge for me?
The ruined weapon is radiating intense heat, and an oily puddle that gives off a caustic stench is spreading across the pavement. Delightful. Anyway, let's have a look at our level up.
I help others better themselves by wholeheartedly humiliating them at every step.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So this time, we actually get a new... No, okay, this isn't a full-fledged special ability. These are modifiers to our existing special ability. In Rhett's case, Military Excellence. That's the move that lets him take multiple shots. And it appears that these all then further modify that ability, granting him either special abilities for the rest of that round, or in some cases for the rest of combat, which honestly sounds a lot more appealing. This one in particular, the third option, two of Rhett's biggest issues right now are lack of accuracy and penetration. And this grants both for the rest of combat after using military excellence, so I feel like that's a pretty good investment. Argenta will instead take this one, which boosts rate of fire for the rest of combat. That's an extra shot with her bolter each time she uses burst fire. Though I will say, I would go for this one instead, since we're obviously leaning her in kind of an AoE direction. But that's only for a single round, and I feel like that is way too limited, especially after you've already likely cleared the field. Using something like military excellence, it just feels very underwhelming. After that, we've got Abelard, who modifies his Daring Breach ability. And his options are plus 10 movement and no provoking attacks of opportunity for 1 round. Extra MP per kill for the rest of combat. And the ability to keep moving after making an attack. That is fantastic. I mean, right off the bat, that sounds like our best option. Third one's crowd control, but only for 1 round. That doesn't sound great. Though it does come with a defense buff for the rest of combat. That's actually not terrible. And then our final option is terrible. That looks like a 1 round damage buff? Really? So yeah, I think we'll go for the one that vastly improves our mobility. After that, we've got Adira, and honestly, I'm not expecting much here. The Adept class is still underperforming pretty heavily. Oh yeah, and even just glancing down the list here, it looks like all of these basically just add single target debuffs to what is already otherwise an underwhelming attack. I mean, generally speaking, if you're hitting a target with an ultimate attack, it's probably either going to die or be dead soon anyway. Though this one, at least, also debuffs other nearby foes, so I mean, that could theoretically be slightly useful. So yeah, I guess we'll grab it for her and for Pascal. Though I'm not gonna lie, I'm not particularly excited about that one. I feel like Adept really needs another pass. Which brings us to Cassia. With the new modifiers here being a 1 round damage bump based on Fellowship, and a slight buff for the rest of combat. All negative effects immediately cleansed. That's handy. And the target becomes immune to death for 1 full round. That's actually not bad. 3 times Fellowship bonus temporary wounds. That would be 15 for her. And then a really weird one. A rolling action point and movement point bonus that can be handed off to other characters. I mean, it is only a 1 round bonus, but I'm definitely leaning towards that second option. Being able to make someone immune to death for a single round is a great last-ditch defense move. And that's it for the level up. I will say, while there were some interesting options in there, I feel like they really need to try to balance those out better, because some definitely felt vastly superior to others. That's it. Let's push on. We still have that ambush over here, but as we just saw when peeking over the ledge, those guys are actually guarding another access point to lower levels. So I'm thinking what we'll actually do is double back around, cross over to the other side of the map, and check out this door down here. It actually requires a skill check to enter, so I feel like that marks it as a more advantageous... Guys,
Victory awaits!
Please don't walk into that giant visible plume of scalding steam. Honestly. Go around the long way, turn off the steam, and then go through the door. Jeez.
None shall stand in my way.
But yes, because this particular door requires a tech check to open, I feel like that kind of clearly marks it as the preferred access point to the lower areas. Though that is, of course, assuming that they all lead to the same area, one giant, interconnected, lower map. It's also possible they lead to separate, isolated, smaller maps. But if that's the case, we'll just circle around and do them separately. No big deal. This one just intrigues me more. Hence, it's the one we'll start with first. Okay, no, that's just a dead end. It's barely even on camera. Fair enough. Not even sure why you let us walk there. Let's see what kind of plots these cultists are hatching. Seems pretty straightforward so far.
Follow my lead.
On his way across a world in the throes of a heretical insurgency, the Lord Captain accidentally witnessed an unholy rite that unfolded in one of the utility rooms of an aqueduct. This abandoned nook turned out to be the place where heretics assembled to perform grim and heretical acts. The large group of rebels stood frozen in patient expectation, all gazing in the center of the room. Nobody moved. Only the murmur of hushed voices echoed against the metal walls. The Lord Captain ran a cursory glance over the room, assessing the situation. Bulky power transformers, cogitators, crates, and Vox stations took up most of the space in the room. Against their background, the structure in the center stood out oddly. An enormous lens mounted on a stand. It caught the thin sunbeams that made their way through slits in the ceiling and crossed the half-lit room. The Lord Captain recognized the structure. Similar ones had been used by the chaos-corrupted warden on Rycadi Philia to cast sorcery. The enormous mounted lens was doubtlessly imbued with the power of the archenemy, inimical to all that is noble and virtuous in the world. Its emitted ray might have monstrous consequences for whoever was in the path of that corrupted light. The Lord Captain peered into the darkness enveloping the room. Although barely visible behind the closed ranks of the insurgents, the rusted barrels, their contents evidently flammable, had not escaped the Lord Captain's keen eye. One good shot at those barrels would cause the number of heretics in Rycad Minoris to plummet. The enormous mounted lens was doubtlessly imbued with the power of the archenemy. We already read this part. Inimical to all that is noble and virtuous in the world. Blah blah blah. Path of corrupted light. The Lord Captain patiently observed what happened next. As if commanded by a grim, unseen force, the insurgents fell silent and, in a single movement, stepped to the sides to make way. A thick, sticky silence filled the room. The heretics' gazes were turned toward a metal structure with a lens on top of it, standing tall in the middle of a circle of melting candles, piles of books, and unholy symbols drawn on the floor. The structure flashed as a single sunray illuminated it. A sound of bare feet broke the sinister silence as a man emerged from the thick shadows. Reeling, he entered the circle and collapsed on his knees in front of the enormous lens. Not a second had passed before many rebel hands gripped the fallen man's shoulders and hair. "Remember, brother, the last sunray you behold will be yours only, shared with no one else. Your holy final dawn," bellowed a nameless heretic's lone voice amid the silent crowd. By the action of someone's hands, the lens turned, and its focused ray struck the prisoner's eyes. The blinded man's harrowing screams shook the very walls of the place. Engrossed in the rite, the rebels had not yet noticed a stranger in their midst. The Lord Captain braced himself and shot the warp lens, destroying its charms. This pain doesn't matter. Only this pain can show me the true light. My brethren's deaths will not stop the rise of the new sun. Well, I mean, that's not exactly a reason to not kill you. Alright, so let's see what we're up against here. Fire starters, Natch. We've got steam over here, which needs to be shut off to safely pass. We've got a big old cluster around the broken lens. We've got more on the fringes, including another fire starter. And a whole lot of flammable containers, so we need to be wary of those. Especially with those fire starters in the mix. I'm thinking our best bet is to start over here. We just need to be careful about those containers. We'll clear the closer guys and then we'll just start working our way to the right. We'll obviously also try to set off some of those containers to our own advantage. Oh, yeah. It's a good thing we started so remote. Those fire starters go quick. But we already knew that from the previous fights.
Forge ahead!
Oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't fire the Ripper when there's an exploding barrel right behind this guy.
Not a problem. Opposing me was your
That'll do.
biggest mistake. Nothing I can't do.
We will, however, rip and tear that fire starter.
Suits my purpose. Nothing of value has been lost.
Nice. One less to worry about. Get to cover.
All too easy.
At least I'm assuming that's cover. It looks like cover.
They who discern the future on the battlefield.
Let's get the usual defensive buffs going.
That is not my destiny.
Rhet's too far away. We'll focus foreboding on the
Will do.
back line. But we will hit him with forewarning.
But of course.
We'll give these guys some static.
Was that you?
Ooh, nice. Yeah, I always dread the potential friendly fire from that move, so I don't use it much, but it is a good move. It's just risky. When you've got allies standing anywhere even remotely close to its area of effect. Alright, let's have our Genta go for that container there. I don't want to waste a shot, but I'm happy to use a grenade.
I'll do it.
Oh, wow. I really thought that thing would be more fragile. Alright, I mean, we still took out two of them, so I'm not exactly complaining. I just really expected that to be more spectacular. Also, that was supposed to be a free action, wasn't it? Maybe I completely misread how that power works, or it's just buggy, I don't know. I'll have to go back and double check the wording on it. Firestarter number 2 is too far for Abelard to hit. We'll just have him back up Ret for now. Free Ret up for another run and gun next round.
A tactically sound approach. Victory is imminent. One fewer target.
Nice.
It will be done. At your beck and call.
So far, so good. Now, Ret will be freed up to thin them out even further, and then Abelard can swoop in from the side and flank any survivors.
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
Man, I really want to blow up some of those containers, but like after seeing how durable that first one was, it just feels like a waste of an action. That's something else they should probably tweak.
Already done.
I mean, to be fair, this is a very similar problem that you see in games like Solasta or Divinity Original Sin. You know, they've got these creative battlefields with all sorts of interactive objects and different creative hazards you can use against your foes. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just more efficient to directly kill your opponents with your attacks. So why waste time blowing up barrels or shooting down stalactites or setting up elaborate 7-step environmental death traps when you can get the same result faster and more reliably by simply shooting or stabbing your opponent. Which is a shame, because I mean, I'd really love to take advantage of some of this stuff. It's not practical. Especially given that I have to imagine that even if we did blow one of these containers up, it wouldn't even do enough damage to take a guy out in one shot.
Spiritual prognosis is favorable.
You know, again, that does kind of go back to the Solasta or Larian CRPG issue. You know, sure, you could knock an object on someone or push them off a ledge or whatnot, but in most cases that's going to do like 2, maybe 3d6 damage. Why bother when you could be blasting them with your primary attack for significantly more damage per hit?
Successfully terminated.
My tactics are flawless. Not a problem for me. Opposing me was your biggest mistake.
Alright, let's go for a Death Blossom. And as a special bonus, this should also add that buff that we just unlocked with our last level up.
Suits my purposes. Nothing of value has been lost. I'll bring glory to my bloodline. Nothing I... Another clean strike. Already done. Nowhere to hide. You didn't stand a chance.
Oh, shoot. We'll have to have someone else take out that fire starter. Though I suppose this does kind of lean into the other issue I brought up before, which is that in the time it takes you to set up a lot of these combos, the fight's already basically over.
On it.
I really thought that would do it. We can tank a hit.
God Emperor, move through me. Be the fire in my heart.
Ow, I guess. My turn.
Faith without deeds is worthless. None can escape the Emperor's judgment.
Lovely. Argenta, could you also extinguish that fire starter for me?
By faith. I will not. Each strike is a prayer.
That will do. Fantastic. So that just leaves 2? Certainly looks like it. And they're both over here, so let's wrap this up.
Indeed. I'd rather not.
Oh, boo. You can't break through lines diagonally. Alright, fair enough. That's good to know for the future. No big deal. We've got like 4 other dudes going before he does.
I took care of this one.
I'm not accustomed to being ordered around.
Okay, let's notch one last kill. Probably shouldn't have tucked him quite that close to the lens, but I think we're good. I wonder if these guys would be respawning if we hadn't shot the lens first.
I will bathe this battlefield in righteous fury. I'll do it. None can escape the Emperor's judgment.
The archenemy's foul fingerprints are all over this place. A nest of wickedness. The heretics met the only end possible. Death at the hands of faithful servants of the Emperor. The light! It's in me! It's within! Yeah, that's a problem. You should probably get that looked at.
The whispers told me how.
The symbols reek of the warp's power and malice. This was without a doubt the site of a chaos ritual, and a very powerful one at that.
I'll lay claim to
You
the
don't
stone.
say. Nothing but a pile of shards remains of the sinister lens that the heretics used to burn the eyes of devout followers of their cult. There's another question. I wonder if there was some benefit to potentially leaving that thing intact. Oh, did we get heavy armor? I didn't even... No, this is all medium. Though we did get a lore item. Message from the cache on Rycad Minoris. A harbinger reports Brother Twilight and his people were unsuccessful. A dangerous enemy, Retcon von Valancius, foiled his plans. The duty is now upon us, Aurora's followers, to succeed where Twilight has failed. Twilight, huh? Yeah, that's medium armor. I mean, the name says it's heavy, but the actual categorization is medium, so I feel like they just got some crossed wires there. That said, it is slightly better than our chainmail. So, unless I'm missing something there, that is worth swapping in. Looks halfway decent. Sure, we'll take it. And then the other stuff it gave us was just generic, like, flak chest plates and whatnot. I think that's all medium. You know what? Let's go ahead and swap in those sniper gloves while we're here. We don't really have a dedicated sniper, but I feel like that might be a good fit for Argenta? Pretty sure that damage bonus is universal, and it's certainly a step up from the gloves she's currently wearing. Alright, what else have we got down here? Let's shut off that steam before we blunder through it. More generic meta trash, no big deal. We got a console, possible lore entries, and traps. Let's get that taken care of too. Oof, fresh wounds.
Look no further.
We'll have those patched before they turn into old wounds.
What advice do you seek?
Abelard, come on, buddy.
Let's patch you up.
I stand in recognition.
There we go. That buys us a little more time. Let me take another look at our armor. That's really bothering me. Yeah, I mean, that tutorial must have misfired, because we have no heavy armor in our inventory. The cogitator screen says access code required. But the machine spirits look favorably upon you. You overcome the cogitator's defenses. A message archive loads up. Judging by the accompanying notes, they were meticulously transferred from paper into sacred machine storage. Missives. Heed the words of a harbinger of Aurora. Let it be known to you that the prophesied hour is nigh, and the faithful must triple their efforts. Those who stand in the way of our salvation must be swept away. Let it be revealed to you that the enemy is about to receive reinforcements. Remember the name, Retcon von Valancius. His ship has already entered the system. We should expect this enemy to show up near our positions. Whoever rids our comrades from that threat will receive Aurora's special blessing. A chance to stand by the Prophet's side when the hour comes. Be vigilant. Let the final dawn come. Aurora's Harbinger wishes you to know, O brethren, that the Von Valancius ship is heading for the Navigator Station. You have time to prepare a warm welcome for the enemy. Von Valancius' ship has set off for Rycadiphilia. We pray that our comrades there manage to vanquish Aurora's enemy on their own. But you must anticipate the worst, and do everything to make sure Von Valancius' path definitively ends on Rycat Minoris. Consequences for our choices. Nice. Tell the Harbingers we've intercepted a convoy of the governor's underlings who were supposed to meet that Von Valancius bloke. Only one of them got away out of the whole convoy, but he's not long for this world. Neither that youngster nor those he's supposed to meet are going to make it to the governor's lair. Our comrades have got their hands on a Vox station used by the guards, and these knuckleheads have no clue we can hear all their comms. We know their every movement, and we're going to throw them a jolly good welcome party. Let Aurora know we'll do all that needs to be done to stop her enemies. Let the final dawn come! Oh, I'll bet the youngster in question there was the real Regius, the one who, I guess, ultimately got killed because we took so long to get here. That's fair. You know, I did think it was odd there were so many fights strung together in this area. But that, again, could just be a direct result of our choices. Obviously, things would have played out at least slightly differently if we had come here first or second instead of third.
Duty prevails.
The markings on this Vox station clearly indicate that it belongs to the planetary wardens. There are visible scratches and traces of blood on the device. Okay, so that's their captured Vox station. Gotcha. Aurora's sermon. It's coming! It's coming! It's drawing ever nearer! Heed the word of Aurora! Forget all your mundane affairs. Ambitions are but dust. Desires are but rust upon the metal of the soul. The final dawn is coming. It will put an end to all worldly vanities. I've heard better. I'll give that a 6 out of 10 as far as cultist rantings go. Pretty generic stuff, but let's make sure it registers as being read, just in case. And let's check this out. Ooh, Phantom Cloak. Plus 15% armor against warp damage. Very simple, but potentially useful. Who's still got an open cloak slot? Adira? Argenta? And given that Adira often invites warp phenomena upon herself, I think that's a no-brainer. We'll toss that to her, even if it doesn't help her against enemies. Maybe it'll help her against herself. Anything else? I mean, we've already found a fair bit of stuff here. More vendor trash? Sure.
I won't tolerate weakness.
And I'm pinging at least 3 exits so far.
It's about time.
More steam. Let's shut that off.
What is that?
Trap. Goods over there.
We should deal with this.
More traps.
Excellence matters.
Never doubt me.
These enormous humming transformers must be part of a single and much larger mechanism that provides power to the whole hive.
Something of interest.
Oh, and yet another trap, my goodness. There must be something really good tucked behind all this stuff, because otherwise they're going way over the top for no apparent reason.
We need to investigate.
Also, notice that they tucked the disarm panels for some of these
I did
on combustible containers. It does make me wonder what would happen if those containers were destroyed.
excellence matters.
Or maybe that's what the traps do. Maybe the traps cause those containers to detonate.
Done.
Alright, I think we're clear. And that must have all been to protect this over here. And this is just generic cargo. Though we do have yet another pathway over here as well.
None shall stand in my way.
Oh, okay. Okay, now it makes sense, I think. I'll bet this leads back up top to where we saw those other guys waiting to ambush us. Rebels, soldiers, and ordinary workers, all who had been here, perished under the rubble of the ruined bridge and buildings.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
I think that would actually tuck us right behind that one last group we didn't fight up top. So we'll have to remember that on our way back out. And then this leads back into the main chamber, so it's 3 exits, not 4. We've still got that one over there we haven't checked. And then the door we came in,
A new challenge
which is
for me?
across.
my lead.
Ooh, look at that. We have another exit grid leading into sewers. That's unexpected. Shoot. Okay, so where would that take us? Well, you know what? We're coming up on time, but I would at least like to finish clearing this area. So let's get a glimpse behind that that other door we haven't cracked open yet. Ah, okay, so that just takes us right back up to the Star Thoroughfare. Though I don't remember there being another exit up there. I mean, there was the collapsed building, and then there was the tech door we came in through. So I'm not sure where that one would actually put us. Possibly an area that's not otherwise accessible? Regardless, yeah, sadly we are hitting time, so I don't want to get locked into another event or something that we're not going to have time to finish. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, and I will figure out our next move. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, Theory V23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Rowan Church, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.